calling you. The universe is calling me. It speaks both day and night. It's full of dark and light.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to SkyTour Radio. It is I, Mark D'Antonio, and I'm here with the effervescent and wonderful Amanda Curran. Hello, Amanda.
Hi, Mark. How are you?
Good. And we are SkyTour Radio. Daryl is off tonight. I believe he's under the weather, actually. And so we will continue and forge ahead together, Amanda and I, and bring you the best in radio for KGRA radio listeners. And we're going to be a little different tonight. Now, if you've listened to Don Ecker's show and Robert Stanley's show and Commander Cobra's show, you know that there have been a bunch of us KGRA hosts, including Chris DiPerno, who have all been sort of hosting each other's shows together all at the same time.
Doing crossovers.
Yeah, it's great. It's wonderful. And so we're actually working together tonight as well on SkyTour Radio up until 8:30 or so tonight when we have our guest on our radio show. And that guest will be Ket Thorvaldsen from Norway, who is going to talk to us. And you'll be interested in hearing some of her cosmology theories. And I can tell you that it's actually not her theories per se, but theories that she has been shared with that were shared with her. Okay, but I do have Commander Cobra with us. Hey, Commander, you there?
I am. Sorry. Good evening, and thank you very much for your hard work leading on to my show, and thank you for having me on yours.
Well, thank you for putting up with me on yours. And we have Don Ecker there. Don in the background. Hello.
Yes, sir, and thank you so much for the invite, Mark. You and Amanda, it's great to be here.
Well, it's wonderful because, I've been on both of your shows, and you guys are perfect gentlemen. And we have Robert Stanley, I've never been on your show, Robert, but I really enjoy your show.
Oh, thanks. Well, never say never, Mark, because I'm only getting to know you now over the weekend, so thank you very much for that.
And that means that it's guaranteed, guys, that I'm never going to be on his show. But and of course, not last but certainly not least, is Chris DiPerno up in New York State, hiding out, isolated in his basement, far from his wife, who can't cook. He says. Oh, by the way, Chris, I think she watches listens to our show, so I'm just sorry about that.
I'm a dead man, but that's okay. So thank you for having me on, Mark, and thank you for those wonderful words that I didn't want my wife to hear. But go ahead.
Not at all. You know what? Anytime you want trouble with your wife, let me know. I'll be happy to let her know the things you don't want her to know.
Yeah, I'm either going to be poisoned by her spaghetti or antifreeze, one of the two.
So now, guys, we were talking about the coronavirus literally for 2 days straight. But I want to kind of change it up a little bit. And I'm going to throw this toward you, Commander, first, because I think that you might have a good idea here about this topic. We've heard of the Nimitz incident. We all have seen the reports. We've seen the videos. And certainly the videos are just the tip of the iceberg. From your personal experience, would you say that the Nimitz incident and the ensuing flood of videos that we've seen are valid, or do you think that maybe something else is going on? Is there a process in place that is not conducive to disclosure, or is it something that's sort of misdirection, like we talked about on your show previously? Go. All
right. Absolutely, misdirection is in effect. It is an intoxicant that we have gotten used to in the government circles. If you and I have talked about this on and off air, most folks that have listened to my words and in the past on this, there there are strong and valid military reasons. Robert brought it up in the last hour that we want to maintain certain types of security and certain types of careful release of technology and break that out. And I agree with that. But I believe we have slipped, if not from the very beginning, definitely in the recent past, into folks that are the self-appointed betters of ourselves that control information and control the process of how things are going to be released. And disinformation, distraction is a big part of what goes on. In the case of the Nimitz reports, the Tic Tac, and the other associated ones, there is a mishmash of a number of things that were released in those videos. Other videos that showed capabilities there, I believe, were all terrestrial. They were our technology. Where the source of that technology is, I couldn't tell you completely, but I believe that that's what was engaged, especially based on some of your experience that you have shared on air, as well as what you've talked about in the past. So I think that that's what happened, or what goes on there. Looking at those, I've seen before they were released. I had seen one of those videos, and I had talked to almost everybody on KGRA about it that had come up. So I wasn't surprised that it was in that looping on it when that information's coming out. But bottom line is that we have gotten into a situation where controlling information, controlling access has valid reasons, but it's slipped, it's arched over into another area, trying to keep the public not aware of it, and we seem to be satisfied not to ask those questions, not to delve into it. And I believe it was Robert that brought up in the last part about the slow release of information and revealing how much money has been spent, how much money has gone that's not accounted for, and we really we don't have control of our own destiny because we've ceded it. We've decided we're not going to pay attention.
And you're of course referring to money that's spent on projects that might be beyond black projects, that might be something
the ones that aren't even recorded. I think, and it ties into the situation we find ourselves in now, just watching how this whole thing has rolled. It's gone on, and you guys have heard me rant about this in the past, and I'll keep it brief. I've watched us fight a war for almost 20 years without getting the results we were supposed to get. I completely supported and participated in what I believe was the proper thing to do for counterterrorism and to protect the United States. But to watch the endless parade of how it's gone and where we find ourselves, and this is just one fragment of the whole thing that's gone forward. And I'm a guy that absolutely deplores the Patriot Act. I don't like the court systems that we have with secret injunctions. And I spent most of my life doing very sensitive work. And I understand the places that those belong, but we're not following our Constitution, and we're not following what we should be doing as American citizens, and we're giving up our very important right. Yeah. Sorry to go off on that rant.
No, actually, that was a very good place to go, because now I think that I'll ask Don Ecker the same question. And let him follow on with you, and follow on to your question, because I bet he has plenty to say here as well, don't you, Don?
Yeah, let me take my microphone off mute.
This is live radio, folks, right? That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. Look, we've been sold a bill of goods for a very long time, and I gotta tell you, I've been watching this since 9/11, and actually well before 9/11, and I gotta tell you, I've been depressed and ashamed of the American public en masse by their willing acceptance of so much of this. Now, most people, let me coin a term that I heard many moons ago. Much of the public has turned into sheeple. Okay, they're looking for someone to lead them, and they'll accept garbage that 40, 50, 60 years ago, people just simply would not accept. For example, if we take a look at what is happening currently in Washington, D.C. Now, this is neither a Republican necessarily nor a Democrat thing. This is a swamp thing. We just heard a couple of days ago about certain senators and congressional representatives that received a classified briefing on this coronavirus situation, COVID-19. And what did they do? Apparently with this classified briefing, they recognized that it was very likely the stock market was going to take another tumble, as if the stock market really needed that. They absolutely dumped all their stocks. They cashed out while telling everybody, hey, don't worry, things are going to be just fine. And what has happened since then? What has happened to these elected representatives?
Nothing.
You know, it's like watching something that happened a couple of weeks ago. And I got to tell you, I went skyward when I saw this. Joe Biden was up in, I believe it was Michigan. He was meeting with a bunch of union people, automotive workers, and what have you. And somebody approached Biden about Biden's stance on the Second Amendment. And this guy told Biden, look, how do you expect to get all these people to vote for you? Many of them are hunters. They have firearms. They believe in the Second Amendment. And Biden went off on him, called him a horse's ass, among other things. And then when this guy said, hey, you work for me, which in essence, that's how our system is supposed to be. Yeah. Biden says, I don't work for you. Now that says it all in a nutshell. It's gotten away from us, and we're doing nothing about it, Mark. Nothing.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's very true. And I saw the exchange where he was being asked about the Second Amendment by was that an auto worker, I think?
Yes.
Yes. That's who Don's talking about.
But and I remember Biden being somewhat disrespectful to the guy, and I felt that was grossly out of order, you know. So I'm pretty sure that this is what happens when you feel you're anointed into to get a position on the world stage. If you're feeling like you're anointed, then you don't feel like you work for anyone. You feel like everybody has to follow what you say, and feels like you're the one who's anointed to tell everybody else what to do and where to put their allegiance. So I don't like people that do that, frankly. Now, Robert, I want to go down to you as well, and then to Chris and Amanda. I'd like to hear your take on the original question about, and this is a kind of a sort of like disclosure. On the previous shows, we've been talking about disclosure as being halted. I personally don't believe that. I don't think it's going to be halted. I think it's going to be just out of focus for a while. But I don't think that this virus has anything whatsoever to do with disclosure. I don't think it's misdirection to try and take our eye off the disclosure ball. I don't think disclosure is that important to people in the government at this point. What are your thoughts about that?
To put it simply, we can't handle the truth under the current system. Would just collapse, and I'm not talking about the stock market. Brookings Institute there in Washington, D.C. did a study back in the 50s about this, and they warned NASA not to disclose any kind of extraterrestrial artifacts and or extraterrestrials themselves once they go forward with their space programs, including the manned space missions, because this particular topic, if you were, depending on how you present it to the public, it has the ability to destabilize society as we know it, because we've been told officially that there is no life, there is no threat. But people, as you know, can't even imagine drinking Corona beer right now. So if you were to throw people like that into a situation where they had to literally were forced to contemplate the fact that we're not alone in the universe, and the big question mark that goes with that as to, okay, who are these people? What do they want? Are they really a threat? Are they our saviors? Are they both? We don't know. It would be like feeding a string of numbers into a computer that don't compute. It would go non sequitur. The thing would just literally have a seizure.
Right.
There's such a thing as cognitive dissonance, and we're already overloaded as it is. And the other thing is, the government is supposed to at least present themselves as being in a position of authority and supposedly protecting us. But
Yes.
if you've ever read my 2 books about Washington, D.C. and the hidden history of UFO activity there, you'll know that the so-called controlled airspace is porous, extremely porous when it comes to these exotic aircraft. Now, granted, some of them are ours, but some of them clearly are not ours. They're just exotic, beyond the norm. And here's the problem. They being the government, cannot admit that they are not, there's no parity there. Okay. It's not a level playing field. And that just by itself makes them look incompetent and, or impotent when it comes to protecting us from whatever these things are.
But Robert, don't you think when it comes to that, if this was happening back in the 50s, everything you said just now, I think would be true. But it's not. We're in an age where CG is better than reality. We've had aliens destroying Earth, as in Independence Day. They attack Earth. Remakes of War of the Worlds. We've had many different, Battle for Los Angeles. We've had many different approaches, and the aliens all coming here have, in some cases, been shown as violent. In ET, they weren't. Okay, in Signs, they were, but kind of malevolently doing their own thing to individuals. So there's, in this day and age, I think people, if they found out tomorrow that there was alien life in the universe, they would say, "Oh yeah, cool. Hey, got any pizza left?" Literally, I think it would affect them only about that much, to be honest with you.
It depends how you present it, Mark. By whatever, let's say the FBI, okay? Let's say the questions are going to come hard and heavy. It's not going to be Joe Sixpack that's doing the questioning. It's going to be the media. And yes, they are very biased, but there are going to be questions. There's going to be pressure, social pressure put on the media to ask. Let's just say the FBI, okay, so how long have you known that we're not alone? And what are the parameters here? Are they a threat? If not, why not? I mean, I could go down a laundry list of questions that need to be asked once this genie is out of the bottle. I mean, honestly, Mark, you can't be a little bit pregnant. Once they open the door, the barn door, it's going to be, you can never shut it again. And there's going to be a range of questions here that, well, we can't even begin to ask or answer.
Yeah, and then, of course, you'll have people in their talk shows saying, "When can I interview one? Can I get one on
I've
my
been saying that for years, Mark.
But the thing is, I think that in terms of the disclosure aspect of this, I don't think that it's going to be any big deal. Now, you say it depends how it's presented. Absolutely correct. Okay, let's put it this way. Had the coronavirus not been outed from China, this would have appeared as a somewhat more virulent than normal flu, and really not much more. And because of all the pressure put on people to answer questions, who's got it, when did they get it, and are they infected? Okay, this flu has been killing people at a rate that's similar to, and maybe a little more virulent than, a normal influenza. And I think that's something that's pretty easy to deal with now. I mean, if we think about it, because mentally we're aware of it. We're aware that this flu is virulent, especially for certain groups of people. But how it's presented, if it's presented as a panic, then people rush out and clean the store shelves of toilet paper. which was ridiculous. Why did they even do that? I can't even believe they did that.
Yeah, well, but that's human nature. It's a herd mentality, and that's what I'm trying to say. Depending on how you present it, whatever government agency, and I would assume this is going to come from the president, but he'll have people behind him like he does with this particular virus. Whenever he has press conferences about the virus, right? You'd have a press conference about the alien presence, and of course it'd be NASA and other people would be standing behind him, and the military, right? And they would be asked a host of questions, and there would be a lot of very easy conversation and nervous people. And if it could go very wrong or it could go very right. We don't know because we're not there. And that is not disclosure. That's a whole new ballgame. That's like day one of an entirely new world.
Yeah, I can understand that. I'm going to get Chris DiPerno's thoughts on this too. So Chris, go ahead.
Well, let's start with disclosure. I think Robert made some great points about that. I think if they're going to do any kind of disclosure, it's going to have to be drip disclosure, because here's one of the things that hasn't been talked about. Let's say the president goes out tomorrow and gets on the White House lawn and says, hey, you know what? We got about 4 or 5 species that have been visiting Earth, and we got these people coming down. Well, not only are we going to have these questions, but you're going to have cults start doing the Kool-Aid thing again. They've done it before in the past, and it's a pattern. And that's one of the things that worries me, because, people are going to say, okay, they will not take a step back and say, okay, what's this all about? Let's see what this is going to lead us to before I drink the Kool-Aid. They're going to rush right to the Kool-Aid and drink it, and the next thing you know, we're going to have mass suicides. That's why I think they have to be very careful on how they do this disclosure, not only because there's a ton of questions they're going to ask beforehand, but it will disrupt a lot of people, and it will do a few things like that. Now, speaking about the Tic Tac thing that you brought up, I have to agree with Commander Cobra. I actually believed at first this was an extraterrestrial, but after realizing everything that I saw, the pattern of how they treated this whole thing is completely different than how they treated others. First, Kevin Day says, that's not the same video I saw. The video I saw was much more clear. You could see it. But let's put out this theory. Let's say they want to send a message to the Russians and to the Chinese. Now, I'm not saying that's happened, but what a way to send it to them, saying, hey, listen, because somebody in the Kremlin's got to be saying, hey, what's this thing? Do the Americans really have it? The Chinese, do they have something that can do this? It's just a thought, Mark.
Yeah, I get it. And this is a good time for me to say before I go to Amanda that if you guys had listened to the show a couple weeks back, I had mentioned that the Navy has been granted several patents, one of which I named on the air, and it was for a vehicle that could travel through the air or through the water, underwater, at extremely high rates of speed and not have much of a signature by the nature of how it was being propelled through the water. And they were granted a patent for this. So clearly there's something going on there too. So could the unknown submerged object that I witnessed when I was at sea as a guest of the Navy on a U.S. submarine been that? That was many decades ago, so I can't imagine it could have been, but it could. And is that what Fravor saw down near the water's surface? Zipping along and then sitting over something frothing at the water's surface below it? Was that thing under the water one of these USOs, and the thing above the water a UFO? Could the Tic Tac have been this project? This is kind of like where you're going too, Commander, I believe, right? So I think that has something to do with it, right?
Mark, when I heard your remarks early on, before most of that was released, and as I've said, I don't know Commander Fravor. I believe you retired commander, but I know people that flew with him. I knew people that served with him on the Nimitz, and he's absolutely 100% what he presents. We were fortunate enough to talk to some of the folks the men that were on the Princeton.
Yes.
I saw that lash up between what you had shared, which you've talked about a number of times. In fact, I've been somewhat protective because I've had some people that have put some pretty snotty remarks out about you after the show have aired, and I think that's exactly what you saw and what you experienced, and I think it's we're at the precipice of that. Now, my curiosity is that it's there. Where did it come from? How did we get that technology?
Right. I don't disagree. And you know what? I hate to say it, but I believe that we've come to the end of this amazing multi-co-host thing, and I still got to get Amanda's words on what she thinks too. So I want to go you quick, Amanda, and then we're gonna go to a break. But tell me what you think, Amanda.
Ooh, I think we're up against a break.
Yeah, we are.
I don't think we can handle disclosure. Obviously.
Well, not so obviously to me, but okay, that's a fair opinion. For sure. I can understand why you might say that and why other people might say that. But we might give you a chance to pull a little more out of that. I want to thank Robert Stanley, Chris DiPerno, Commander Cobra, and, of course, Don Ecker, my wonderful friends and other hosts of their radio shows here on KGRA, the greatest radio station on the earth, for joining me today to finish out this what do you call it when there's so many people? Is it a quintathlon or something? I mean, all these people that are
round table.
Right, yeah, round table. There you go. Thanks, Don. That's an excellent name.
Have a fun weekend. Thanks, guys. Be safe.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda.
Bye-bye, Mark.
Thank you, guys. And Sky Tour Radio will be right back after these words.
Folks, this is very important information. What's to be said about CBD? AncientLifeOil.com. Our CBD is made from hemp and has 0.003 THC, which means this wonderful product won't get you high, no matter what amount you take. What does CBD do for the body? My hands are tied, but you can Google CBD benefits and be astounded. When you're finished reading, you'll want to log on to AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com and purchase. Life is good when you feel good. People are tired of pain. People are asking for non-GMO organic products to help them with you fill in the blank. Legal in 49 states, and again, our CBD is made from hemp. Ancient Life Oil is about helping people one by one by one. If you wonder how good the product is, the CEO takes it every day without miss. AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Have a great day.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment. including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Mainstream media's most wanted. KGRARadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky Tour Radio. I know that was an extended break, but you know what? We're trying to prepare everything to be perfect for you. Let me tell you. So,
Bill works hard behind the scenes, guys. You don't even know. You don't even know.
Yeah, right now he's sweating in the background there, I'm sure. We're trying to get our caller, our guest from Norway, to come online with us, and she'll be with us shortly, I have faith. But I want to go over a few things with you. I'm an astronomer. I have plenty of things I can talk about, and most of you know that once I start talking, I just can't shut up, and Amanda has to tell me to shut up many times. And they're like, Mark, there's a break coming. Oh, really? Right? That happened last week, I believe, Amanda.
Yeah.
So
happened a few minutes ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay. But see, the thing is, in astronomy, I just can't shut up because so many cool things are out there to see. And, I didn't say it at the top of the hour because we had all of our guests. But, if you haven't become a member of Sky Tour Livestream, I encourage you to do so. Sky Tour Livestream is a foray, an evening foray into the beautiful night sky. And we use our observatory telescope. We stream it live. People can see, people can hear, ask questions. It's amazing. We see galaxies, tens of millions of light years away. We see remnants of dead and dying stars here in our galaxy, glittering jewel boxes of many, many stars in very rich clusters, globular clusters that are ancient and have some of the oldest stars in the universe in them. And it's also a stream where you, the listeners, are in charge. And if you want to see something that's up, you just tell me or Amanda if she happens to be co-hosting with me that night, or Daryl Mason, who might be co-hosting, and we will go to the objects in the sky. Now, it's very nice. We have a wonderful active chat group. Join them. Sky Tour Livestream is on YouTube. It's free. Everything's free. And the nice thing is that you can learn a lot about the universe. Daryl's very knowledgeable. I'm an actual astronomer, believe it or not. This is what we sound like. And we want to just share the knowledge. So much so that Sky Tour Livestream has an East Coast observatory now, and we are actually getting a West Coast observatory as well. So we're going to have two. The West Coast Observatory, I'm going to give you an update on that. Sky Tour Livestream West, we bought the building as of yesterday. And we are going to be installing the building in just under a month. So I wanted to do April 30th for the opening, and I'm probably going to be just a little later than that. And that's, you can thank the coronavirus for that. But once we get it out there, it's going to be built on site by a company that does just this. And we're going to have a roll-off roof observatory out there in the middle of the Sonoran Desert, where we're at actually fairly reasonable altitude. And we will be able to look at objects in a way that's unlike anything you've ever seen, I promise. Now, that's something that we will be doing and moving forward with here. We're making progress every single day. Today in the East Observatory here at Sky Tour East, we actually were testing, and last night actually, we were testing a system to put different filters in front of the camera so we can do different things, including our spectral filter, so we can literally disassemble the light coming from the distant stars. And when we disassemble that light, I've talked about this before with you many times, you see red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Now, you can look at it as Roy G. Biv. Okay. Roy G. Biv is the spectral colors. And those spectral colors are what you'll see. But you'll also see very strange little dark lines that are crossing across the spectrum. In the blue and then the red and then the orange and the yellow and the green sometimes. And those dark lines tell us exactly what the star is made of, because we're seeing the gas in the outer envelope of the star absorbing some of the hotter energy from behind it in the center of the star. And it's a telltale giveaway, just like fingerprints, as to what element in the periodic table owns that line. We see a lot of hydrogen lines. We see calcium. We see hydrogen. We see helium lines. We see oxygen, magnesium. And many of these lines are that we'll see in a starlight are things that we can identify right here on Sky Tour live stream, and you'll be able to actually see that. When we look at a star like Vega, you'll see extremely, extremely sharp lines, and these sharp lines are the hydrogen, what we call the Balmer series. See, each atom has different series of lines that they actually will create when they make these transitions as they absorb energy in the heart of the star as this energy moves outward. The outer atmosphere of a star might be hot plasma, but it's cooler than the core and cooler than the photons of light and the high energy light that's coming from behind it in the star. So it will tend, it's called a cooler gas, even though it's still very, very hot. And so that is really interesting, and we'll get to see that too. And that's one of the things that we added to the observatory and to the astronomy world. And we're doing this public outreach in astronomy because we love astronomy. You know, I've always wanted to be an astronomer with an observatory. And I've been an astronomer for decades, but now I'm an astronomer with an observatory. I mean, that's dangerous. Look out. You know, look out, world, because here it comes. You know, and we'll have 2 observatories. So we'll be doing things like taking 3D pictures of the moon. Okay, that's right, 3D pictures of the moon with identical observatory instruments on both sides of the continent. Now that'll be fun, won't it? Wouldn't you like to see that, Amanda?
That actually sounds really cool.
It is cool. You know, I think it should be really cool. You know, and if you actually have a question for Amanda or myself, you can write us at skytourradio@kgraradio.com. So skytourradio, all one word, at kgraradio.com. You know, and
or if you're in the chat room, I'm keeping my eye out there for questions as well.
Excellent. I should have said that because I can't see the chat room myself. Because
and I'm going to drop our email address in there too.
Fantastic. Because I can't, the Discord, the chat client doesn't work on my machine. So, you know, it's like I'm completely out of touch with the chat room and I cannot stand it. I really want the old chat client back. I hope that they're hearing us. Anyway, moving forward, I would like to take us down now. I know we do our exoplanet roundup, but tonight is a little special night. We have a couple of things that are really interesting to talk about. We've had some supernovae in the galaxy, not in the galaxy, in the universe, that were so bright that it actually defies all known supernovae luminosities and brightnesses. And these supernovae that occur like this are called superluminous supernovae. Say that 3 times fast. Superluminous supernovae. All right. And I think that the superluminous supernovae can release as much energy, I know they can, in that final split second before they explode as our sun will emit in its entire 10 billion year lifetime. But these supernovae are so luminous that as much energy as the sun will give off in its entire lifetime is given off in that final split second. Think about that for a moment. Let that sink in. What does that mean? You know, a star that blows up, how could it possibly put out as much energy in its final explosive moment as our sun would in 10 billion years? Now, that can literally become, something like that, can literally become as bright as an entire galaxy full of stars. That's incredible. You know, that's outrageous. I'm sure that if we look at the superluminous supernovae, that we're going to learn a lot more. Now, they have theories as to how these things have worked, and we'll talk about that in one of our next episodes. I would also like to welcome to the show Kat Thorvaldsen, who has joined us, and I believe you're there. Are you not?
Yes, I'm finally here.
Listen today. Hey, welcome. So,
Hi, Kat. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Kat Thorvaldsen is in Norway, so she's 5 hours ahead of us. Now, it's 8:46 Eastern Time. You do the math, and if she messes up any words, you will understand why. It's the middle of the night for that poor woman over there, okay? So there you go.
Yeah.
Have to give
I'm
her...
having some fun here with my Skype that suddenly did not work, so I had to install it by my phone. But now I'm finally here. I'm calling you from the future.
5 hours in the future. Hey, that's cool. I never thought of it that way. That is really cool. You know, for those of you that might be familiar with Kat Thorvaldsen, Kat is my speaking partner with the New Sciences Tour. We speak about, I speak about the failures of science, and she speaks about a number of things. Currently, she speaks about the hybrid status. She thinks, and she can show you how she has actually been in contact with potential alien life. And you know, when as a science guy, the first thing you do is say, okay, what's going on here? Could this be real? Now you have to have an open mind. You know, could this be real? And my experience with Kat is actually that I'm sold on the fact that it's real, and I'm going to let her tell her story in a moment. But I was in Norway for the last half of this past August, and Kat and I went around to Oslo and Bergen and Lunda, other, you know, in towns there, and we were doing our talk on this. And you know, I have a point in my talk where I talk about the different types of alien life that we encounter. You know, and one of them is the Nordics. And when I mention the Nordics, tall blondes, okay, I look at Kat and I point to her and say, "There's one there."
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So anyway, Kat, you know, when you were a kid, you had experiences going way back from when you were a child. And, you know, the one that impressed me the most that I actually thought was really interesting is your Santa Claus story. Would you be able to share that with our wonderful listeners?
Okay, I can do that. Well, right. I was just 3 years old, and it was very close up to Christmas. And my mother, she has been putting me to the crib for the night. But I remember I wasn't tired, so I was standing in the crib, and I was standing there looking out in the room and out through our huge windows. And then suddenly there was something weird going on the left side of me. That it was like the wall was opening up, kind of. It was a little bit blurry, and out from that space, that area, that came this little gray person or guy or what you shall call it. And he did not even walk. He looks more like he was gliding over the floor and stopping in front of the crib and standing there looking at me. And well, I was 2 years old, and I was thinking, okay. So I started blabbering ahead and trying to connect with this creature, but he didn't answer me. So, but it didn't took me long before I understood that we were communicating telepathically instead. So he was giving me the feelings or the pictures. So the feeling I got was that he was there to see if I was okay.
Interesting.
So,
what did he look like?
Well, he was didn't have any kind of clothes on. I did not think about that he was naked or anything like that. It was just a person. It was a very white grayish, big head and big black eyes, and tiny mouth, tiny nose, almost nothing.
Okay, that's interesting. So, when he was standing by the crib, tell me what you perceived coming from him.
Well, I got the feeling that he was there to see if I was okay. And that was more or less it. And then he disappeared the same way that he came. For how long he was standing there, I had no idea. But then he disappeared in the same way through the wall. And then in the next moment, I saw him together with another creature inside of a craft. They were hanging outside of my window, and I was living on the second floor. So trust me, this was not any car or anything like that. And then they took off. And in my little head, I was thinking, ooh, Santa Claus was here. So I was very happy. Yeah. And 1 week later, there was Christmas coming. So, and I remember my mother, she was carrying me on her arm into the TV room, and I was going to meet Santa Claus. But in my TV room, there was this guy with a false beard and plastic face and a red suit. And I was terrified, and I was so angry and furious. That was not my Santa Claus. So I described in what my Santa Claus looked like, but and of course my mother she understood, but she did not say anything.
Wow. So, and that's not the end of the experiences you had. I mean, you had other experiences as well, and I think you actually chronicled them in your book, A Hybrid Story, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
So. I want to hear in your own words, and I encourage everybody to go buy A Hybrid Story written by Ket Thorvaldsen. You can get the book at ketthorvaldsen.com, I believe. Is that correct?
ketthorvaldsen.com, yes.
Yeah.
There you can also get to that book, and you can also get it as an ebook.
That's correct. So you got a couple formats so you guys can get those. At one point, I had 25 copies of that here, maybe 27 copies. Only because we
had
here, right?
Had they're gone.
Yeah, we actually we spoke in Laughlin together, and I believe Laughlin, Nevada, and I believe that you sold every one of your books there.
Yes, I did.
You had to hold some back because you were then going on with George Norrie and Gaia Television, and then you spoke in Colorado at another gathering on your way home, and you ended up selling all the rest of your books.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and I think that was good because your book was actually pretty intriguing. I remember reading it when I was on my way over to Norway because I didn't get my window seat. So
for you.
I know. I like the window seat. Yeah.
Lauren has a question for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
She wants to know, does Ket have any idea why the Grey was checking why she was okay? Had they abducted her?
Well, for me, I think that has to do with a bigger question. I think that we have been, when I think about past lives, I think that we have been, our souls is forever, our body is just temporary, and I think that we have been living everywhere. So for me, I have a feeling that I have been one of them before in my past life. So I guess there's a connection there.
And I know, well, just as you had ended the story about seeing your Santa Claus, you said your mom wasn't surprised. I had heard that this kind of runs in the family. Do you think the same thing for her or maybe other members of your family?
Yeah, that's the thing that my mother, she did not say anything about it. She knew what I was talking about, but she didn't say anything because her side of the family, they have been seeing it and experiencing them several times. She has seen them. My grandfather has seen them. Some aunties has also seen them. But on my father's side, they have not seen anything. So I guess that's why my mother didn't say nothing until many, many years later.
Wow.
Interesting. Thanks.
So now the question is, that's not, there's more to this than that. You also discovered that, again, I think through Sid Goldberg, through a suggestion from Sid, you found out that you actually have several implants. Actually, if I don't miss, more than 20?
Yeah, I think it is more than 30 actually.
Okay, can you?
Yeah, it was just actually I have been joking about this for years. Of course, I've heard about all those people that had implants, and I was joking about it for years that perhaps I have some too, perhaps I don't. But I had this triangle-shaped thing on my neck, so I was a little curious about that one because if there should be an implant, it has to be that one. So then I was having a talk with Sid, and he was working on several cases with implants. So he told me that, why don't you buy some of those neodymium magnets and try it on your neck? And I said, okay, I can do that. And of course, going from joking about it till actually putting the magnet on your neck and it actually sticks, that's a big wow.
Yeah.
Another word I'm not going to say on the radio. So it was a little shock, but then a friend of mine said that, you know what, since your nose has been closed more or less since you were 10 years old, why don't you try it on your nose too? And I did, and it was sticking there too. So after that, we had a little research party on my body. So we have been ending up for more than 30. And they are all more or less symmetrical placed.
Yeah, that was what I thought was the most interesting. And to the audience, I know Kat very well. We're very good friends. But, you know, hearing her story, I think is really impressive. And it's really important to kind of just let her say it in her own words as well. Now, the question about when you got these implants, could it have been, well, if these were implants that were put into your body, as you suspect, and as could be true, then we would expect that you might have some kind of memory possibly as to when that might have been. Could it have been when you were at the crib and you saw that Santa Claus, you know, the gray there?
No, I don't have any feeling that happened when I was 3 years old. It can happen when I was 10 years old or when I had the last close encounter when I was almost 30.
I think you need to explain that, because 10 years old and when you're 30, I think those are both encounters that our audience needs to hear about. And just so you know, we're supposed to take a break at the top of the hour, but I'm not going to. I will not allow us to take a break. We're going straight through. Just so you know. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Well, when I was 10 years old, I was a typical kid that loved horses and living and breeding and talking horses. But in the same time, I was also a very lonely kid because I was always trying to fit in with the rest of the other kids. But I never fit in, and I could never understand why. Because for me, I didn't look any different. But and I think I behaved more or less the same way, but I never fit in. So I was an outsider and felt quite lost. So a lot of times after my mother has went to bed for the night, I was sneaking out on the roof, and I was sitting up there on the roof and I was looking at the stars and the moon and thinking that someone out there come and pick me up and bring me home. And for me, I don't remember how many nights I was doing that, but one night I remember I was seeing this bright light over my head. And the next moment, I'm waking up in my bed next morning. But at that point, I did not remember what happened. But I know that the big difference was that instead of drawing horses, now I was drawing a little gray man with big black eyes and bald heads. And I was talking about other lives and civilizations and planets. So, it was a big difference from being a quiet person to start talking about this subject like this.
Or a normal kid. Was that when you were, was it Konnerud? Is that where it was?
Yes, that's right.
That's where you were out on the, I'm learning Norwegian, folks, just so you know. So she will correct me if I say wrong things. And she has the ability to, and I give her permission to. But that's where you were on the roof, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I think we actually have some more questions, Amanda. Can you,
we have amazing questions coming in. Amazing questions. Okay, first off, it sounds like Kat isn't afraid of the implants. Has she tried to have them removed? Are they all from the same alien race, or have other alien races interacted with her?
Well, for me, as I know, there has just been the small grays and the tall grays. And since they are symmetrical placed, I don't want to remove them. Because I feel that they are there to help me in some way. So, I will not mess that up. And for me, I don't think that that's a tracking device. As a lot of people are asking me if they are tracking devices. But no, I don't think so.
Well,
okay. Sorry.
No, that's fine. I hope not, because you don't want any little bald-headed gray guys up in space going, there she is, come on, Ford, move. We don't want that. Any more, Metaphor?
Yeah. Ket sounds so calm and collected about her experiences with aliens. How has she made peace with it? What would she recommend to other abductees who are still traumatized by their experiences? That's an amazing question. Thank you, Lauren.
Well, the thing is that a lot of things can. I'm not saying that there are no traumatizing experiences. Of course, there is, but also it's very important to think about. A lot of times there can be experiences that can seem scary, but that is because that we are not understanding what is happening. Let's say you can compare it with us when we are mapping animals, we are tracking them, we are catching them, and we are tagging them, doing all kinds of things with them, and trying to help them as the best we can, and then we release them, and of course they would be terrified because they don't have any clue what is going on. So that's very logical for us to be very afraid of something that we don't know what is. Yeah. So I think that is very important that when people are experiencing something, that they are really examining themselves too. Is it fear-based because they didn't know what happened, or was it really scary, or there's so many levels to it.
Yeah, and I know that you have more than just the statement that you have implants. And for those listening, Ken also has X-rays. She has X-rays of these implants, and you can see them in her body. And the X-rays are in her book. But if you look at the places where these magnets are sticking, it's as if, we are bilaterally symmetric. I've told you that before. Carbon-based beings, which are bilaterally symmetric, the same on the left and the right for the most part. And these magnets follow that bilateral symmetry. They'll be on one side of her nose as the other, and one side of her shoulder as the other. And then they follow nodal lines too, like down her back and so forth. Yeah, tell us, when you actually went to get the X-rays, how did it feel when you actually saw these X-rays, Kat?
Well, actually, the X-rays experience was quite funny because, you can't just show up into the doctor's office and say, hello, I think I have been visited by some aliens, and I think I have some implants. So I want some X-rays. That will not happening, because they will send guys with the white frocks instead and put you in someplace quiet or anything like that. So you can't do it. So, but I was lucky because I had a friend of mine that he was the leader of UFO Norway, and he also had a friend that was a chiropractor, and he also had this X-ray machine himself. So I didn't need to go through the hospitals and all of that. But even then, they did not even put my name into the schedule. They were sneaking me in the back door and just full speed in and take the X-rays, looking at them, and full speed out again. So, but still, we got to shock him a little bit with the magnets, because we were asking him with his education if he knew it was possible for a human body to actually, that magnet should stick on the human body, and he said no, that is not going to happen. So his jaws was falling on the table more or less when he saw the magnet sticking on my face. So that was quite funny.
Yeah, I can imagine. And that's kind of the big seller. And if you ever listen to Ket speak, guys, what she'll do is she'll actually pull out magnets and put them on and show you that they stick there. And she'll invite you to look at them, invite you to clean them, and do whatever you want to do. Make sure that she doesn't have any sticky stuff on her face. I mean, and then you watch these things stick. And the most important thing is, if you look where they're sticking, there's absolutely no scars where she could have faked it and had something injected into her. There's nothing of that sort. And when you look at the X-rays, you can see that this is not something that's tiny, something you could just stick in a syringe. That's not what you're seeing there. It's a very different looking implant. I think Roger Lear would have chased you all over the planet, Ket, if he could have. And it doesn't stop there. And you had when you were 10 years old, you said you had a experience as well, correct?
Yeah, that was the one I was telling you about when I was sitting on the roof.
Yeah, that's right. And then some years later, I think you were in Holmestrand. Was it Holmestrand?
Yeah, I was living in Holmestrand, but I was going to this mountain, Gul Mountain, because I was going to stay there for a few months to working on my book.
Okay.
So when you think about that, is around 20 years ago. I think that then you can see that takes a long time to make a book.
Yeah.
So finally, I did. Well, I was supposed to be there for 2 months, and but I was there for 1 week. So it was a quick trip. The thing is that I wanted to stay up there with a nice and quiet place, and it was so quiet that you can actually hear the quietness. It was just stunning place. So it was just me and a cat, and I had to go for 20 kilometers, more or less, to get to the closest house or the store. So I was really isolated up there. But, well, I was waking up one morning, and I had this... It was like this gray, greenish, dry liquid from my eyes and from my nose, and my nose felt sore. So I was thinking that, oh, am I getting sick or something? That's not the best place to be sick when you're all alone out there. Yeah. But when I was looking myself in the mirror, then I was really a little bit surprised, because this was not pillow marks. Trust me, I see a big difference on pillow marks and this marks. This looked like after like a metal... sharp edges, like a grip on your face, on your eyelids, and on the upper on your face. So yeah, I was a little not shocked. That would not be the right word, but yes, I was wondering a lot what all of this was all about. But the thing is that when you are living alone in a cabin, you need to do the fireplace. You have to make the food. You have to take care of the cat. You have to do all the normal chores during the day. So after a little while, you forget about it. Your face looks normal. You feel normal again. But when the evening came, I felt like a restless animal in a cage, and I did not want to sleep. My entire body, me knew that something had happened, but I couldn't recognize or remember what it was. So I didn't feel like I wanted to go back to sleep. So I think I was reading the same magazine 20 times that night. And the next day, I was lucky to get in contact with those people that own the cabin. And they said that, okay, we can come up there and pick you up and take you back to the society. So then I just had to wait for them. I was all ready and packed when they were coming late the next evening. And I remember I was sitting in there in the living room waiting for them. And as I said, everything was quiet there, and then suddenly you have having two big guys stepping into the porch and talking at the same time. So it was a lot of sound at the same time. I think I was almost up under the roof of the shock. So it was wow, yeah. So and then they took me back to the society, and when I came back there, then I could actually see the big difference, because in the cabin there was no electricity. Mm-hmm. But and of course, what is the first thing we are doing when we are coming back to the society? That is, of course, to charge our mobile phone. Yeah. And when I was putting my charger into the wall, it had this terrible sound. Everyone knows how the sound is for when a microphone is screaming. Yeah. That was the sound. It's really bad. So I could not even stay in the same room, and I could hear the light bulbs. I could hear all kind of sounds that were even inside of the TV or the DVD player, so whatever, and people that were talking too loud. So my hearing, that was like a super hearing. It was just too bad.
Yeah. Now, what year was that, Kent?
99. Was it
93?
No, 98. I think I'm messing up the numbers of the years.
Okay. No, I just want
I think it is 98. 97, 98.
I want people to understand that there is a chronology of events here. Things happen, and every year or two or so, there's something new that happened to this poor woman. And we're just trying to put together a chronology for everybody to understand. So when you're trying to write your book up there, the bottom line is you did not get to write your book up there, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay. So now you come back, all right, and take us to the next event that happened. And I mean, I know that you have you've outlined a number of them in your book. And some of them are in order, some of them are not. But I'm really curious about the one that you talked about in 1995 that had to do with healing.
Well, now it suddenly stopped in my head. I have to take a look. 95, healing.
And that's okay.
Okay.
And if you can't, I'm just curious. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have everything at the tip of your tongue. I know. But I mean, while you're trying to search for that, I mean, maybe we can have another question thrown at you from our amazing chat.
Yep.
And did someone have a question for her?
Yeah, we have a few actually. I don't think it's been discussed on this show as of yet. Some of us may know that Kat receives downloads. Ronald wants to know if you got them before and or after your implants.
Well, the thing is that I don't know what time I exactly got my implants. If that happened when I was 10, or if I got some of them when I was 10, I don't know. Or if I got all of the implants when I was 30, still don't know. But I started with the downloads in the early 95.
Okay. That kind of leads
some in between.
Okay. That kind of leads to the next question from Lauren. Do you have any idea why you haven't experienced anything since you were 30? Or are we right to assume that? You're saying you don't think you've received any implants since you were 30, but you may have had encounters since.
Well, I don't have had any close encounters that I can remember, but I have seen them from the distance a lot of times through the years.
When do you think your last sighting was?
Well, the last one was actually 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years back when I was in Bulgaria and had a talk down there in a conference there when we were flying back home early in the morning. That was very nice actually, because I think that everyone more or less on the plane was sleeping because it was so early in the morning. But I also like to have the window seat and look at the sunset and looking at the clouds underneath and looking. I think it's beautiful to watch. And I was sitting there having my face close to the window, and then I'm seeing this craft that is coming from a distance. It's like it's having the same path as the plane, but it's coming towards us instead of going from us. So I was sitting there and I was looking, no wings, no tails. And then it was coming closer. I could see, okay, no smoke from behind. And then I could also see, okay, no windows, no doors, nothing. And it was silver colored. It looks like a bread. It was flat in the bottom and as the shape of a bread. But it was so silvery, shiny that the sun was reflecting on it. And it was very beautiful. And it has a good time too. It was absolutely not in a hurry, not afraid to be seen or anything like that. And I was actually having a good time I was looking down to the clouds and see if I could compare, see how fast our speed was on our plane. And I was looking at that one and trying to compare the speed that one had. And it was going a little bit faster than we did, but not much. And I was following it all the way till it disappeared in the opposite horizon.
Do you remember what year that was?
That was in 2018.
Okay. So
November.
So the bottom line is that was further continuing events. Now, of course, we could always argue that was a aircraft of some kind that you just didn't recognize or whatever. But if someone told me, who is very well versed in recognizing things in the night sky, for instance, that thing in the sky I saw was not a plane or whatever, when I or wasn't or was a plane when I knew for sure it wasn't, I would get kind of mad at them for saying something like that. So I understand. I'm not trying to say you didn't see that. Maybe you did. You said there were no wings. You said it was very silver. And I find it all very interesting, And do you remember how big it looked to your eye? How big in other words, if you were to hold out your finger, would your thumb have covered it up? Would your pinky finger have covered it up? How far away?
Well, it's difficult to say how far away, but it wasn't that far away that you could actually. It actually looks like when two planes are passing each other. It was even closer than you were thinking that a normal plane would be close to another plane when they are passing each other.
Okay, and usually that's supposed to be more than a mile separation. So, of horizontal separation, I think, or vertical separation. Actually,
this one was flying a little bit below our plane, not much, but a little bit, and it was this close that it was like having this shape of the how to compare it, like a SAS, not the biggest plane body, but without the wings and without the tail. And it was quite big. And trust me, I had plenty of time to look at it. So I was not looking at this craft in a distance. This one was really close.
Okay.
That's why I can actually say that this actually did not have any kind of doors, no any windows, nothing. That is how I could actually say that it was clean lines and silver and nothing that you can see on it. And trust me, if there were windows, they were actually that close that you would be able to see if there was someone on the inside.
Yeah, I've actually seen a plane that close next to our plane landing in Phoenix. There's two runways side by side, and they'll tend to stagger the planes coming in, but there was a dust storm coming. So this other Southwest Airlines 737-800 aircraft was landing parallel to us. It was sort of like a race to see who could land first. And they landed us right together, and then they actually towed us off the runway because of the fact that it's called a haboob, a dust storm, was there. They had to turn the engines off and tow the plane to the gate because it was really so bad. And it was like being in a science fiction movie because there was lightning everywhere, yet no rain, no thunderstorm. It was just lightning from the static discharge. It was like being on an alien planet. So I understand, close proximity of the aircraft like that. That's crazy. And I know we're jumping around a bit, Ken. I know it's really late for you. But
I'm fine. I'm awake.
Okay. I think you told me before the start you were going to go get a nice big cup of tea.
I did.
I'm glad you did that. And I did want to ask you about Betty Palco. Tell listeners who Betty Palco is, and about your experiences with Betty Palco and why you talked to Betty Palco.
Well, Betty Palco, I heard about her. That was in the very, very early 90s. I was more interested in. I was also on the same quest as a lot of people are, to trying to figure out who they are and what their life purpose are and all of this, and trying to figure out much as possible. And of course, other psychics or people that were channeling was also, of course, very interesting. And then I came across Betty Palco, and she was visiting Norway. She was from the UK, old woman. She has been very famous, also been working with Diana and Sarah Ferguson and all of the royalties over there, and a lot of other people all over the world. Yeah. So then I was lucky to actually meet her in Oslo, so that could be interesting. And of course, it was nice for me in that early age when it comes to my close encounters, that you can actually go into a room and you are meeting someone that are actually seeing them and seeing my connection with them. And that is almost more or less the first thing that she is saying.
Okay. So
yeah.
So what happened? I mean, what did you guys talk about?
Well, I was asking her about my life purpose and what I was supposed to do. And of course, she was talking about, she said I had a very good mind and I should write books. And of course, with the alien contacts, and she could also see the Roman Empire, that I have been there. And yes, she saw a lot of different things.
Like a past life type of experience?
She saw some of them, but we were not talking so much about those. No.
Okay.
We just had 1 hour.
Okay. Well, that sounds very cool. I mean, now that was 1995, I think, right? So you had other experiences in 1995, didn't you? Was it Icon in 1995? You humming and buzzing. What was that?
Yeah, that one was actually quite interesting because for many years it was very quiet when it comes to the connection or the close encounters. But you can say I was living a so-called normal life, having my own shop and everything, and being quite busy. But then suddenly it was like someone was calling you or trying to connect with you. Sounds like a mad person right now, but that was the feeling you got. That was like something out there trying to connect with you. So I told my boyfriend that, I start to do meditation. So I will turn off the light in the TV room and I will sit there and meditate for a little while, and then I go to bed. So he always went to bed in before me so I could sit there, but I did not meditate. I was looking out the window instead. And on the day 3, I did this. Then they actually turned up. So they were, I don't remember, it was 3 or 5 of them. They were dancing around in the clouds or in the night sky there. There were no planes.
These are UFOs?
They were UFOs, yes, because they were really dancing around in the sky. So a plane can't do that. So and then in the next evening, I was sitting there again, waiting for them again to turn up. And of course, then the night sky was quiet again. But after a few days, then they came back. So they kind of wake me up and told me, okay, we are back. And of course, I was thinking a lot about them those days, wanted to connect with them. And one evening I had this very urge to go up to a place called Icon. It was a little bit far away from where I was living.
Yeah.
And it was a very relaxed place, no houses, not even cabins, I think. And absolutely a good place to meet them, actually. So, but I was thinking about driving up there all alone, but my courage failed me. So I got my boyfriend actually to drive me up there.
Throw him out.
And and when we got up there, it was like this. It wasn't any fog or anything like that. It was just like the clouds was hanging very low, very, very low. And when we were stopping there at the normal place that we used to go in the daytime, because it was very beautiful up there, then we could hear this very incredibly high humming or summing, or what you should call the sound, straight above our heads. And there was no electricity or anything going on around there at all. Because I was checking that later when we came up there later on the daytime, and there was no transformator or anything like that, but it was this incredibly big humming sound just above our heads. And I really felt that they were there, but they did not show up because I had him with me, and I was regretting that big time. So I was thinking, why didn't I have the courage to go alone?
Oh, that's too bad, because you were thinking, well, we were showing up, and then they're like, hey, we didn't want him here too, and they didn't show up.
For me, I actually felt that later that actually was like a test to see if I was having the courage to come alone. Yeah. Of course, normally, if they really wanted to, they could just knock him out in one way or another, so he will not remember anything. But they didn't. So.
Well, then maybe you're saying it was a test to see if you could follow their instructions to go up there alone. You know what? I don't blame you, because I've had strange encounters that are very strange in the same way that I don't think I would be courageous enough to go up there alone myself either. At least I'd have cameras recording, and I'd at least get some recording of it. But I don't know if then you actually had cameras in your phones back then, did you?
No, I didn't.
Yeah. Well, you know what? To the folks listening on KGRA Radio, this is from a hybrid story, and the author is Ket Thorvaldsen, who is with us now on Sky Tour Radio. And she has stunned Amanda into silence, who is still here with us. Right, Amanda? You're still here?
I'm here.
See?
I'm listening. I'm watching for questions, and there's a link to Ket's book in the chat as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Hope
And
people
it's
check it out.
Ket Thorvaldsen.
I have an autographed copy, not to brag.
Not to brag. That's very good. Yeah, but anyway, when we come back, we'll talk more with Ket and hear more about her experiences, and we'll be opening the lines as well. So if anyone wants to call and ask her questions, you know the number, but I'll tell you, it's 85-KGRA Live. That's 855-472-5483. So give us a call, and we'll be right back on Sky Tour Radio with Ket Thorvaldsen and Amanda Curran.
Okay, nurse, let's get this man to the ER stat.
Right away, doctor.
We see this every day. Heart attack or angina pain due to blocked and clogged arteries. Chelation can remove obstructions or blockages from arteries and help avoid painful and expensive surgery. Now there's Angioprim. It's a liquid oral chelation product that you take with juice. You start to feel the results fast. Angioprim increases blood flow all over the body, and that means more energy and strength to take on the day with less aches and pains. 60 years of research has gone into chelation, and Angioprim is the result. A safe and easy way to unblock your veins and arteries from buildup that slow circulation.
Paging Dr. Jones. Please report to the emergency room right away.
Log on now to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com. Or to speak with a trained consultant. Give Angioprim a call at 954-882-7221. That's 954-882-7221.
Ew, yuck. They're unhealthy and gross. Bugs, I hate bugs. We keep a clean home, but occasionally bugs show up. Well, I found something that is tougher than bugs. Orange Guard. From contact, it kills bugs. Plus, Orange Guard kills hidden bugs and keeps new bugs away for weeks. I know. I use Orange Guard. Plus, all of the ingredients of Orange Guard are on the FDA generally regarded as safe list. Orange Guard may be used around food, humans, and pets. It promotes a healthier planet, and here's a bonus. Orange Guard cleans where it's sprayed. Plus, it comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Orange Guard.
You can get Orange Guard at Ace Hardware. And listen, folks, Orange Guard is tougher than bugs, and it's safe to use. Go to orangeguard.com. That's orangeguard.com.
Hey, is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Now you have the inside contact for alternative talk radio. The Planet. KGRARadio.com.
Hey, welcome back to Sky Tour Radio. This is Mark D'Antonio. At least I think I am. Let me check. Yes, it's me. I'm here with Amanda Curran and our wonderful guest, Ket Thorvaldsen. And she's from Norway, so we have to respect at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time that we're talking about 2:30 a.m. her time right now. So she's staying up for us, guys. This is really quite nice.
Thank you for being here, Ket.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Ket.
I can't say that I'm still having jet lag from being over to your place.
Well,
I had to have a little nap on the sofa, so I'm fine.
Okay. So can you make it another half hour, or would you like to be released from your duties here?
No problem. I'm all right.
Okay, fantastic. I know we have questions mounting up. We have a caller waiting, but here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to have you set up for us. You actually had an experience at Gold's Mountain, and I want to take the listeners back there because there's actually quite a bit more to that story that you didn't mention earlier, and I'd like to have you run through that. Could you do that for us?
Yeah. Well, since I did not remember what happened, I just saw and felt the after effects after the trip up there.
What were the after effects?
That was the super hearing, and I suddenly got my sense of smell back too,
right.
And I was also light sensitive, so there was a lot going on. So through UFO Norway, we were contacting a hypnotist guy in Oslo. He was a doctor in this profession, so he knew what he was doing because that is very important. So we went in there, and he was putting me under hypnosis, and then we find out what happened. And the thing that happened was that in the cabin, when I was there, I was going to the bed for the night, and then I woke up of this bright light in my bedroom, and there was standing this tall gray one there. It looked like it had this kind of a skirt on him, but it was like a part of his body at the same time. And normally they are just gray, but this one here, it was like a shining being. It was really like glowing around him, so it was lighting up the entire room. And then I was following him into the living room, and there was 3 of these small grays, and then it felt like I was hovering, or what are you saying it again? In the air.
Yeah, hovering, floating,
floating in the air. And the 3 of them were standing around me, and then they were putting this kind of a helmet on top of my head. And because I felt that it was very important that everything was really tight on my head because of the needles that was going into my ears and this fork thing that was supposed to go up into my nose. And that's why this was this solid grip on the helmet. And trust me, yes, I know it sounds like a bad horror movie. And I guess it was. So at that moment, I remember what happened to me when I was 10 years old, when I lost my sense of smell. And I asked them, please don't let me remember anything more. And from that moment on, everything turned out gray in my memory. And this hypnotist guy, he was working on me for 2 hours, and he could not break it.
Wow. So now, at this point, you've created a drawing of what you feel happened at the time. You have there's an image of the helmet and the little fork-looking objects that are supposed to go into your nose and then needles into your ears. I mean, that actually, to me, that does look like a torture device almost, but I know that's not what they were doing. What do you think their purpose was for that? What were they doing?
I'm not sure. I know one thing for sure, that it absolutely heightened my senses. No questions about that. Because, of course, when I was coming back to the society, I could not even charge my phone on being in the same room. So it was a little bit too much. Luckily, over the years, it has been better. I don't have that super hearing anymore. But I still can experience that people can come to my place and they are wondering why I don't have any sound on my TV when I'm listening to my TV. And I said, oh, yeah, I do. I can still hear them. So, yeah.
I think that's pretty interesting, Well, Amanda, if we've got any questions for her, why don't we run through those too?
So we have a call, don't we?
Yeah, we have a call, but we also have some other questions, right? Should we take the call first? We can do the call.
Yeah.
All right, then let's take the call. Hello, caller. You're on the air with SkyTour Radio. And he'll be back, yes?
Hello.
There you are. Hello, caller.
I was listening.
Ronald, how are you?
From Minnesota.
Yep.
I was listening to you on the app, on the TSL app, so it's a little delayed. And Sorry about that. And hello to Kate or Kat or how, I don't know. I always get their name wrong. But anyway, hello. Uh-oh.
Yeah, she's here.
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, and it was good to talk with you last time at Bill's and at Pine Bush. And hello to Amanda, and thank you, Bill, for taking the call. And I wanted to ask a question about: do you ever get to where you are at peace and comfortable with the acknowledgement of something happened, and then with the awareness of the information that you have? For instance, like we talked about downloads earlier, I didn't want to ask the same question, but we can kind of go into that idea of the downloads. You are writing a book currently, which is something that you have not been trained in, but yet you have information that you need to share, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I am working on my second book now, and that is about a mix about cosmology, astrophysics, quantum physics, and how the consciousness and everything, how it meets together.
Yeah,
and I don't have any kind of training or schooling behind me to do that.
That's amazing, and thank you for sharing that information, and thank you for sharing your experience. And I just want to say again, thank you for not running away from it and hiding or going totally off your rocker and not being able to talk to anybody like some people do. But I know it's a real condition that people have. So I'm just glad that you're able to come out and tell about your stories and share your experience. And then you showed us with the magnets that you actually do have, the implants. And of course, Mark, with your experiences, I want to thank you for sharing your experiences as well. And anyone else that has ever opened their stories up to everyone to share, that's important that we do that, especially now. You know, now it's very important that we share this information. So keep on writing your books and keep on sharing your information. Thank you for the call, Mark. I'll let you go ahead and continue talking. All right,
no
thank
problem.
you.
I appreciate your call. Thank you.
Thanks, Ronald.
And I'll just say one more thing about Ronald's call. He hits upon something pretty interesting, and that is that, he says he's grateful to see that you just faced this all head on. And what I really wanted to say to him was, well, you should go see the TV series Norsemen or Vikings, and how the women act there. And that's just how you act. You're very, very strong, and you're very forceful. And I want everybody to know that this person you're talking to here, she's a tall blonde with blue eyes, but guess what? She's a carpenter, and she's worked with people all her life and shown them a thing or two. And it's not, it's the person inside that container that makes the container do what it does. And her techniques and her capabilities are amazing. I had the privilege of going over to Norway. I've been to her home, and she's practically built that house. She redid a lot of things in that home, and she just matter of fact about it. So I think that she's got a very strong personality. I'm not trying to embarrass you here, Kat.
No, I'm not.
But a very strong personality. But she's also someone that can get jobs done and do this amazing work. And so that, I think, I wasn't surprised when she would be willing to stand up on a stage and tell people these things. I figured, yes, that's the kind of person that she is. She's got that kind of strength. Anyway, I did want to find out from you moving forward here. I would like to talk to you about the next phase of what you're going to do. Now, you and I created the newsciences.com, and it's a website that we used initially to talk about our Norwegian tour. And we had people go there to be able to contact us, see where we're going to be and when. But now there's another phase to this. Yes, you may be a hybrid, but you also have received information that relates, and you used to call it astrophysics, but in listening to you, I felt that it was more cosmology. That is how the universe is made. That really is sort of where you were at least in part leading yourself. And I know that, if you're an astronomer, you look in the sky and you tell people what those things are. An astrophysicist can look in the sky and say, okay, this is what they are, yes, and here's how they work. And a cosmologist says, well, here's why they work. Surprising or not, here's why they work. And all three of those disciplines overlap each other. So you can't say that you're just writing a book on cosmology without having to write some astrophysics and knowing some astronomy. And it's the same for all the other two, other disciplines. They're all mixed together. But is there a way at all that you can give the listeners a summarization for what this new science cosmology may actually be all about? Is there a way that you can start leading people down that path? I know it's a deep subject, and I know it's a question that you don't like too much because you can't give them the answer without having to fill in all the things ahead of it. But give them a flavor for where it's going. Give them an idea where this is going, and then we'll talk about when that book comes out and where they'll be able to get that.
Well, the book will also be, it will be available on my homepage, kthorvaldsen.com. Hopefully it will be done this fall if everything goes okay. It's a lot of work because it's several hundred pictures that I have to make. And also make them in 3D as best as possible. When I had the first download when it comes to this kind of topic, I was dragged out. It was like my consciousness was dragged out of me, and I was standing outside of absolutely everything, and I was looking into the bigger picture. It was like they were showing you the entire engine before they were dragging my consciousness all the way through the systems and all the way in again till I was back where I was to begin with, in my basement where I was working when all of this happened. And I was getting the understanding about how this engine was working more or less in a big scale. And after that, they have been showing me all kind of, how to explain it, how all the different details works, from everything from gravity to the latest thing that I've been working with now is that going from the biggest pictures to the smallest one. So I am even on the lowest, I'm calling the neutral building blocks that everything is built on. So even quarks and atoms and everything is on top of that again. And I also see how our souls look like and how our souls are connecting in our bodies and how everything is around us. So it's a huge topic, so it's difficult to explain how all of these are together, and especially when you don't have a long time to do it. And I'm also trying to do it in not my own language. So I'm struggling a little bit because, as I said, this is a huge topic.
Yeah, and my understanding where I've taken it is, and you kind of agreed that I was sort of on the right track. I'm an astronomer, as everybody knows, and trying to understand cosmological theory is, it's trying to understand the motivations of animals we don't at all understand. I mean, trying to understand how things that we have no knowledge of works is sort of a guessing game. But I likened what Ket talks about as if you have a painting, part of what she talks about, a very small part of what she talks about, is what the canvas is actually made of that the paint is sitting on. And the paint itself ends up being the things that we see in the universe, and the canvas is the substrate, the thing that all of this is on. And it doesn't go anywhere. The canvas stays where it is, but you can move the paint around on the canvas and change things around. Things move throughout the universe. The universe is always in motion. So her book will deal in part, small part, with that canvas and how the canvas is built. Am I correct to say it that way?
Yeah, it's about how it's built and how everything is moving through the canvas instead of on top of the canvas, but we are moving through it.
Right.
But
3D.
with a lot of pictures, it's easier to understand when you're having a lot of pictures too, to see it.
Yeah.
When I'm explaining it.
I think that's pretty cool, and that cosmology approach, I think, is probably going to be enlightening to a lot of people. It's been enlightening to me because after spending a lot of time with Kat, I've felt, and I'm talking about you in the third person, I'm sorry. After spending a lot of time with you, I've come to understand a little bit more about it, and I can see that this isn't something that somebody can just make up. This is something that had to be delivered, that they digested through some other means. And so that is why I think that when you say that these were downloads, I'd like to, can you, again, if you haven't already, I don't think you have fully, can you describe that download process in a way that can make sense to us? Because I when you described it before, that you said like you're stepping out of your body. What do you mean?
Well, I can start with the first download I had.
Yeah.
That was not about this kind of topic at all. This kind of download started, I guess it was a few months before this one here. I think that everyone, if they're trying to look at their life and think about how many questions have I had in your entire life, that would be a lot of questions. Can you imagine if you suddenly was going to get the answer to all of those questions? How long will that take to get all the answers?
Well, we're familiar with schooling, right? And it takes years and years and years of schooling to learn certain things. But, how did it happen for you?
Well, for me, it was like, well, I was working and doing my normal stuff every day. And suddenly it became like this transparent film that I was seeing in front of my face, more or less 24/7. I could see everything else around me and doing the things that I was supposed to do, but I saw this kind of film at the same time. And I could see the pictures on them, I could see text on them, I could see film on them, and it was going down, down, down all the time. It's like the text as after a movie or something like that. It was not like that you were trying to look close up on it to see what it actually stood there. You just knew that there was information that was just going down, down, down all the time. And yeah, I was doing that for 2 months. And when I was done with these 2 months, it felt like I knew all the answers to the questions, but they were not important anymore either. So it more felt like you were like on the ground zero. It's like you were starting with new, fresh papers.
Yeah.
Then I had this a few months later. Then I had this experience in the basement that changed my life, because I was standing there and I was working on a wedding dress, not my own. This was an order.
Yeah.
And I had a deadline and everything. So trust me, physics or cosmology, that was the absolutely last thing I was thinking about.
Yeah.
So I was standing there working, and then suddenly I'm hearing these numbers popping up in my head, and I was thinking, okay, what is this? And then it was repeating itself several times, and I didn't feel any wiser. And then I was seeing the stringed pearls, and then one more came up, and it looked like a DNA without the bindings. And then it keep up building up until it was 12 strings. And then it was like my consciousness was just dragged out of my head, and I was hanging out there in nothingness, and I was looking back at something incredibly big. It looks like a very, very complex DNA, and it had the shape like a big, huge donut with this huge, brilliant light in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I got the feeling and the knowledge that I knew what I was looking into. And I was told I was looking at the absolute everything, the total. So I felt so humbled when I was hanging there. And then in the next moment, my consciousness was dragged in again, closer to one of the spheres. And then I was seeing something that looked like an atom with the electrons. Actually, the atom and the electrons that we have here is actually the copy of a bigger picture. So I was following one of the electrons, or as I will call them, the multiverses, and from the Big Bang, and I was following the whole process, what was happening after the Big Bang, and all the way back to when I was coming back to the place that looked familiar, that was our own solar system, and then bang, I was back in my basement. So that was quite a trip.
It sounds like it. Sounds like it. You know, not to distract from that, but one of the things that is interesting is that one of the people listening tonight is saying that he too has magnets that stick to him as well.
Okay.
And he just tried it tonight after hearing you on this show. And he says they're sticking to him as well. And now he doesn't know what to do about it. So I find that interesting. And I think we have his contact info, but we might be able to put the two of you together so that you can talk to him if you like, and see what's going on. So that's pretty interesting. Now I had a question too that actually we also got in chat, and when we only got a few minutes left. Of course, you always have a few minutes left when you want to do a really cool question. But how did your family react to you with all of this? And this actually comes from a question from Lauren, actually, in the chat. And I'll offer it up. And just let me know, in the time we have left, tell us how your family has reacted to you.
Well, I have always been different from the rest of my family, so I guess that they were not that big surprise for them. But yes, they were finding it very interesting, and they have been wondering a lot. And of course, they are very interesting to hear the latest news every time I'm getting something that is downloaded. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they are very interested in what I'm doing.
Okay, well that's better than thinking that you're some kind of strange creature. I know you live with your mom, and of course you take care of her. So you guys have a really nice close relationship, I'm sure. So I'm just thinking that it's a good thing to get support from family if you can get it. But honestly, the experiences I've had to go through these alone. Really, in the end, you're going through everything alone, and you have to really be comfortable with it in your own head before you can be allowing other people to support you in it. And I know that that's true. Now, I just do we want to hint at that? Give people the title. I know the title of the new book on cosmological topics. Did you want to show people or tell people that?
Yeah, that is called The Creation, where physics and the consciousness meet.
The Creation, where physics and consciousness meet. Yeah. Now, that's a pretty big topic. And after looking at, and full disclosure, I have been helping Kat with her illustrations for the book in some ways, a little bit here, a little bit there. So I have an idea of what she's looking for. And I can tell you this, this could be the most amazing book to come out in years on cosmology, because buried within it, now again, and Ket knows that I'm not insulting her in any way because she knows what I think of her. Buried within it is information that should be coming from a PhD. But it's coming from a woman that doesn't have a PhD. It's coming from a woman that actually has information that she's received from, well, let's just say elsewhere. And it's the thing that, usually when people try to make stuff up to kind of fool people, they slip up. They can't keep track of all the avenues and places they've gone, and sometimes they'll slip up. I've known her for years, and I know that all the information I'm hearing from her is consistent. It hasn't changed, and it makes sense. It makes real sense. So I say maybe Ket Thorvaldsen is right. And with an open mind, we have to believe that that is a strong possibility. Her current book is called The Hybrid Story. It's available at her website, KetThorvaldsen.com. The spelling is THORVALDSEN. Ket Thorvaldsen. That's Kate, Kate. That's how you say it. Thorvaldsen.com, and you can buy the book there. And then The Creation, Where Physics and Consciousness Meet, will be available, hopefully, in the fall. And Ket, you're an amazing guest. You're the first one, you know. Did you know that?
Yeah, that's nice to know.
You're the first guest ever on Sky Tour Radio. We've never had guests. I'm right on that, correct, Amanda?
Well, if you don't count when she was on last year at Pine Bush and a few others.
No, that doesn't count.
Charles and Keith from PK.
I know. This is our official radio show. Back then, it was sort of a mashup show. But this is our first guest on Sky Tour Radio, official guest. Where
I'll have to think about that, but it may be.
Yeah, we had Commander Cobra for Sky Tour live stream.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what, guys? We have to get out of here, man. They're kicking us out of the studio. But you know what? I want to thank you, Ket, for being here with us tonight. You shared some amazing information. The book, again, A Hybrid Story, at KetThorvaldsen.com. Amanda, you can put the link, again, if you would, in the chat, which I cannot get to, unfortunately. Thank you so much for doing that. And Ket, you can hang on for a little while after we hang up, but I just want to tell you all, remember, we're all about astronomy here, and what Ket's doing and her experiences she's had are really a foray out into the unknown. And, you know, with open minds at Sky Tour Radio, anything's possible. So remember that, and remember when you go outside at night, don't be afraid to go out, but keep looking up.
Except while you're driving.
You got
If you have anywhere to drive to.
Yeah.